Hello, I'm James Yarborough, and welcome to We've Got Books. And boy, do we ever. We are three authors, Anne Greene, myself, James Yarborough, and Lana Newman Cruzy. We are coming to you from the big sky country of Dallas, Texas, where we love our barbecue hot and spicy, our men full of integrity, and our books impossible to put down.
Hi, I'm Anne Greene.
And I'm James Yarborough. And our colleague Lana Newman Cruzy is not here today, but wishes you well in the podcast. We'll be your hosts for We've Got Books, and we're excited to connect with you. We three authors delight in telling you about our newest books, as well as interviewing other Christian fiction writers about their books. Our goal is to introduce you to some great Christian fiction. We'll focus on getting to know authors and discover why we write books. We'll discuss fiction of different genres: suspense, romance, historical, mystery, women's fiction, westerns, and humor. Have you ever read a sensational book and wondered about the author? We'll sit around the table chatting to get to know each author and her book. So sit back and enjoy this swift ride into the literary world. Today I'm going to interview Anne Greene, an award-winning author of 37 books. So Anne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Jim. I live in Allen, Texas, and I've been writing for approximately 30 years. I was born in Ohio, then moved to San Diego, and then to Chicago. I finally settled here in Texas. I graduated from the University of Texas at Dallas, summa cum laude, with a degree in literary studies, but worked as a legal assistant for a few years. Because I'm a creative person, I switched from the legal field to photography. Hubby and I ran our own photography studio before he, a colonel in the Army, was deployed to Iraq. Not wanting to run the studio alone, I closed shop. At that point, I began my dream job, writing Christian fiction.
So Anne, among other things, you were a military wife. Now, did you travel to any foreign countries?
I've enjoyed a thrilling life as a military wife, traveling with my husband to many overseas countries. I've been blessed to visit 40 different foreign countries, plus every state in our own beautiful United States.
Well, that's an amazing travel schedule. Did you set any of your books in those foreign countries, or do you set your books in America exclusively?
Some of my books take place in foreign countries, and some here in the U.S. I found Turkey to be one of the most exotic and wrote a suspense novel, Shadow of the Dagger, set in Turkey. We traveled to the British Isles, England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, and I set a 2-book historical series in Scotland titled Masquerade Marriage and Marriage by Arrangement. The books cover some of the most turbulent times Scotland faced.
Personally, I enjoy reading books that take place in foreign countries, but I also like books set here at home in the United States. Give us a taste of where you set your books here at home.
Well, I've always been interested in women leaving their comfort zones and entering exciting and even dangerous jobs. Thus, you'll find my World War II books like Angel with Steel Wings and A Codebreaker's Christmas Surprise engrossing. Both are set here in the United States.
Those are 2 books that I have read and really enjoyed, Anne. I highly recommend both of them to our listeners, too. What genre of Christian fiction do you write in?
I'm what is known as a hybrid. Rather than specializing in one genre, I write many. My published books are historical and contemporary, romance, suspense, mystery, and humor. I write series and standalone books. All my books contain some suspense and a bit of humor, as well as placing the reader inside the story with deep detail and sensory touches so that they can live the story.
About the romances, dare I ask how far your romances progress?
Yes, that's a very important question. I love to reveal that Christians can fall madly in love, find Christ, or continuing following Christ during their romance, but wait until after marriage to unite in physical love. I know this seems archaic to young people today, but this is the way God ordained for men and women, and this is the way romance played out for thousands of years for those who strive to put God first in their lives.
Well, I certainly very much agree with that, Anne. With all the writing you do you have time for any hobbies?
While not a hobby, treasuring time with my children and grandchildren keeps me happy. And of course, I love to read and I love to travel. I dabble in oil painting. Listeners can see some of my paintings on my website, AnneGreeneAuthor.com. That's ANNEGREENE author.com. I sing in our church choir. I do aerobic dance and line dancing. And I'm always up for dinner and games with friends.
Well, needless to say, you're a busy lady, yet you've had time to write 37 books. I'd love to hear more about them. What book are we going to discuss today?
Today, we're spotlighting my novella, Dollar Brides. If you don't mind, I'll read the back cover copy.
Absolutely. Please do. We'd love to hear.
Here goes. Though most of the characters in Dollar Brides are fictional, the history is real. This horrifying practice really happened. A few marriages were happy, most were not. So here's the back cover. Newport, Rhode Island, 1899. What if you are one of the richest daughters in America and your parents sell you to an unknown English lord to gain a title for the family? When Amelia Schermerhorn Astor's best friend is sold to the elderly Englishman Lord Suffolk, Amelia vows to stop this appalling form of slavery. No more dollar brides. Amelia's seen too many of these nightmare negotiations, where wealthy fathers treat their daughters as negotiable objects, much like they play the stock market. Amelia risks her entire future to fight the system. During a business trip to London, Bracebridge Brighton III commits a grave mistake. The Duke of Richmond gives Brace 3 options to right the wrong. Circumstances forbid Brace from taking the first 2, so he must accept the third. Return to Newport and procure a dollar bride for the deceitful Duke. After a highly unorthodox meeting with Amelia, Brace falls in love with the feisty crusader. When Amelia discovers Brace's mission, she cuts him from her life. When they clash again, will Amelia forfeit this once-in-a-lifetime love?
Well, that really whets my appetite for more about the story. Will you read an excerpt of when Amelia and Brace meet?
I was hoping you would ask, but only if you read the male parts. It's not a lot.
Okay, I'd be glad to help.
Okay, here goes. Newport, Rhode Island, July 1899. What good is my life if I cannot choose my own direction or even my own husband? Amelia Schermerhorn Astor clenched her hand tighter around the 3 dog leashes. None of the 3 high-stepping dogs paid the slightest attention to her voice. What the dickens? The red flag is up already. With her free hand, Amelia tugged the chain to her lapel watch and checked the time. Not yet 11:45. The flag's flying 15 minutes early. She glanced at the brilliant blue sky and inhaled a deep breath of salt air with a scent so clean it tasted like spring water. The fresh wind pricked her cheeks. I promised you doggies a walk on the beach. The men flew the flag too soon. Seems each day they shoo us women off the beach earlier and earlier. Amelia stopped. The dog's toenails scraped the pavement as the three canines strained against their leads toward the inviting sand. She stared at the flag, forbidding women from Easton Beach, and huffed, then pursed her lips and scanned the sand, the sidewalk, and the mansions overlooking the area. She nodded. Empty as a poor man's pantry. She stepped toward the forbidden area. Let's go, babies. There's not a male in sight, and most people don't swim this part of Easton Beach. I have right on my side. The spaniel Valentine and Jester, the poodle, splashed in the surf while the Shih Tzu trotted daintily in the wet sand at the water's edge, her short nose sniffing the surf. Tempted to let the dogs gain their freedom, instead Amelia gripped the leashes with one hand and raised her long skirts with the other. After the warm sand, the salt water washed delicious coolness over her bare feet. Jester lifted her head and stared to her right, just as the spaniel cocked her ears and gazed right as well. The Shih Tzu held her sweet, blunt nose near the sand and kept sniffing. Amelia glanced to where the two dogs alerted. Oh, my! The beach was not as empty as she'd thought. A lone male splashed in the ocean, and oh, my! His swimsuit revealed long, tan arms and broad shoulders. Amelia stared. She had no brothers, and father died when she was but 3 years old. She'd never seen a man's exposed limbs. Charging through the ocean, he rushed toward her, flinging water in all directions and revealing even more of his body, with his wet suit clinging to his athletic form. She gaped, and the friendly dogs yanked their taut leashes toward the stranger. She'd either have to release them, stand where she was, or have them drag her face down in the water, or follow them. She stumbled forward until she was waist deep in salty water. A swirling wave smashed against her, and she was about to be dragged underwater, when the man's wet arms clutched her waist and kept her head above water. The excited canines circled them, and their leashes wound the two of them together. Oh, my! He reached a long, still untethered arm and rescued the Shih Tzu, who paddled frantically to keep afloat. The man cupped Lily to his side. The dripping Shih Tzu gazed up at him with adoring brown eyes. Amelia blinked, in case the same expression lit her own face. She loved dipping her toes into the water, but being dragged fully clothed under the salted waves, that was a new experience. The fellow smiled down at her.
Hello. This is unexpected.
With the sun at his back and in her eyes, she couldn't make out his face. But pasted to his chest by the leashes, he seemed massive.
How shall we untangle ourselves?
His tenor voice resonated warmth, surprise, and delight to find her trespassing on his territory. He didn't sound at all angry or upset. If you unsnap Jester's leash, I can try to hold her collar.
Right. Which one is Jester?
The black poodle, with his chin lodged on your shoulder.
I have to release you or the Shih Tzu first.
I'm able to stand as long as we are.
Tethered together? A laugh rumbled through his chest. Here goes.
He released her waist, and immediately a wave shoved her forward. He caught her, righted her, then snaked his free arm through the tangled leashes and fumbled with Jester's snap. The poodle swam away. Amelia grabbed the leash floating past.
That's one.
Yes. She pulled in a deep breath that tasted salty. Valentine's leash is binding my knees so I can't stand when the waves surge. She's the Cavalier King Charles. Try to unleash her next. The man shimmied in the water, attempting to keep her upright. Hold on to the wiggling Shih Tzu and locate the snap to Valentine's collar. The movements brought her into closer proximity with different portions of his masculine body. Oh my! She never expected such a pleasurable learning experience. The loosening of the thong binding her knees told her he triumphed in unsnapping Valentine's leash. Lily's leash is wrapped around your throat. She reached up. At that precise moment, a wave swept in and she lost her balance. He dropped Lily and grabbed her arms before her head dunked beneath the buffering waves. Poor wild-eyed Lily gave a high-pitched bark and swam to her paws, windmilling the water, tightening the leash around the man's throat. Amelia ignored the terrified Shih Tzu and lunged toward the man. He had to be choking. She grasped the wet leash and tried to unwind the leather from the man's neck. No success. She whisked Lily to his chest, brought the small dog next to the man's face, then unwound the leash. Leashes clamped in one hand, Lily in her arms, Jester and Valentine swimming beside her. She wallowed through the waves toward shore. Behind her, splashing told her the fellow followed. When she reached land, her wet clothes clung like weights. Salty water drenched her from neck to her long skirts. As her feet sank in ankle-deep sand, she plodded toward the street. Her petticoats painted themselves onto her legs and slowed her progress to a waddle. She called, "Jester, Valentine, come." If they didn't, she could never catch them. She lowered Lily to the sand. Valentine, obedient and loving as always, trotted up, dipped her dripping head, and submitted to having her leash snapped on. Jester shook a ton of water from her curly fur, then took off through the sand back toward the ocean. The man raced after Jester, who thought he played a game and dodged out of reach each time the man tried to capture her. Amelia laughed until tears filled her eyes. So fun to see a grown man dash after the tall poodle, only to miss, time after time. This adventure was a promising start to Newport's lovely summer. When had she laughed so long and so hard? When had she ever been so close to a man? She gazed up and down the deserted beach, and when had she made such a spectacle of herself? Jester allowed herself to be caught and snapped onto her leash. The man shuffled across the sand to her side. He handed over Jester's leash. "I'm so sorry to have invaded Easton Beach, but I did arrive before noon. I didn't think anyone else frequented this portion, and so I was certain I wouldn't be noticed."
No need for an apology. I don't go along with the antiquated laws here in Newport. One would imagine we lived in the 18th century rather than this modern day. He reached out a damp hand. "My name is Bracebridge Brighton III. My friends call me Brace."
Amelia took his large hand. "I'm glad to make your acquaintance, Mr. Brighton. I'm Miss Astor."
Ah, yes, one of the famous Astors.
No, I'm but a poor relation to the John Jacob Astors. Actually, second cousin twice removed. She backed across the sand, dislodging her dripping skirts from her wet legs as she stepped. He followed, then shook himself, water spurting from his hair and torso.
"Nevertheless, Miss Astor, I'm delighted to meet you." He bowed. "Nor would I have missed our little episode for all the gold in California."
Her heart skittered. She had yet to get a good look at his face, but she never forgot the look and feel of his strong body.
Do you come here often?
He stood as nonchalant as if he were dressed for church, rather than dripping seawater from form-fitting swim pants that stopped at his knees and a top that exposed his limbs to the sight of anyone who glanced his way. She kept her gaze away from his body and on his face. She shouldn't be talking with him. Shouldn't be here on this beach at this time of day. Shouldn't find it so difficult to catch her breath. The dogs enjoy an occasional walk.
Are these all yours?
He turned to stroll beside her toward Ocean Street, both leaving wet trails in the sand. She glimpsed dark eyes and strong features. No, I board several dogs. I use our carriage house. The enterprise earns a few dollars.
Ah, so you're a businesswoman. You're the first I've met.
And he was the first male she'd seen, or more exciting yet, explored in his all-in-all. Fortunate that he wore a swimsuit. Gossip at tea time often mentioned that many men who frequented the beach swam in their birthday suits, thus the need for the red flag. The talk always made the ladies giggle or cover their mouths in astonishment. I really must be leaving. So nice to have met you. She turned and strode as fast as a lady might, with her wet skirts dragging like gully fluff and growing heavier each step with accumulated sand. She glanced over her shoulder. Drat. He stood there like a sun god, legs braced apart, gazing at her as if he'd never seen before a bedraggled woman on the beach. Thank you very much, Mr. Brighton.
Please call me Brace.
I'm sorry. We've not been properly introduced. I really can't.
Ha! And you are the woman who thumbed her nose at the red flag. I doubt you play by those old-fashioned rules.
You are so wrong, Mr. Brighton. I do play by society's rules. Some of the time, when doing so suits me.
Ah, Miss Astor, I sincerely hope we meet again. He flashed a grin. At a proper place, where we can be properly introduced. I find I'd like to see if we might become friends.
Was he new in Newport? Are you visiting?
Yes, I'm here on a mission for a friend. The assignment is a personal matter. My friend prefers I don't divulge the particulars.
I see.
Perhaps I might enlighten you. He raised a dark eyebrow. After we've been properly introduced, and you properly allow yourself to call me Brace.
The twinkle in his brown eyes was unmistakable.
And that was great. I loved that meeting. Thank you. I've read your book, and it is exciting, packed with information, and has a wonderful spiritual application as well. What would you like readers to take from reading Dollar Brides?
I'd love for my readers to learn that history can be extremely interesting. History isn't just dates and wars. History is people and what they did with their lives and how they lived. I'd like them to realize the freedom we enjoy today happened because someone in the past took a stand for what they believed in.
Well said, and good to know. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with your readers? Do you have a newsletter, a webpage?
I sure do. You can find my webpage at annegreenauthor.com. That's Anne with an E and Green with an E. My webpage posts pictures of all my books and also pictures of my travels, shows some of my oil paintings, offers a brief biography, and provides you with a synopsis of my books, plus a link to where you can buy them. I post information about my husband's military career there. Also, you can join my newsletter on my webpage. My newsletter brings you up to date on my new books released and events in my life. Did I mention often in my newsletter I give away autographed copies of my books? I would love to have our listeners visit and get to know me. And I'd like to mention, if you enjoy narrated books, you can find almost all of my 37 books narrated in audiobooks. Also, one last word. When you read a book you've enjoyed, please go to the Amazon website and post a review of that book. It's easy, and you'll know you've helped that author whose book you so enjoyed.
Thank you again, Anne, and I second the need for reviews for authors' books. And listeners, we're so glad you joined us, and we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at wevegotbooks33@gmail.com. That's WEVE gotbooks33@gmail.com. Also, be sure to listen to the past podcasts listed on We've Got Books. All our podcasts are short, fun, and introduce you to other authors and books. You can find all the books we mention on Amazon. Look up the author's name and the book he or she discussed. Meet with us next week when we will spotlight Anne Greene's very first book she wrote, Trail of Tears, the story of John Ross. Until then, read a great book, preferably one we've mentioned on our fun podcasts. And please tell your friends about our podcasts. Happy reading!